back to the NUTRIMEDICAL Report live, and this is still sale day of our 7 for Heaven sale over the Passover Easter weekend. And we have with us Clay Crossan in the first hour, and then Ryan Frace in the second hour. Just wanted to announce, over the weekend we had a grandbaby daughter, Matilda, born in Portland, Oregon, to our oldest son and his wonderful lady, Amanda. And their little boy, Henry, is 4.5 years old, is ecstatic over the new baby. And my 22-year-old daughter, Kelsey, with Down syndrome, she's so excited we're going to be flying up next weekend to visit them. So thank you, Lord, for another little grandbaby. I'm a granddad 3 times now. Pretty good, huh?
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'll tell you, she's a cutie. It's amazing when you have new babies, especially if it's your own, but I think all babies are cute, including baby animals.
How old, how big was Matilda?
I don't know her exact weight. I think she was average weight, but long-limbed, long fingers, so she's going to be tall like her mother and her father. Her dad, my oldest son, is about, I think, 6'1" or 6'2", and she's, I think, 5'9" or 10", so she's tall. So she'll, she's going to grow up fast. It's amazing how fast they grow in the first year. Talking about growing, let's talk about what NutriMed is accomplishing, and we're making a lot of progress here in 2015. A lot of things are going to happen. We're reactivating our other web page, clayandiron.com. You'll start seeing that page reactivated. I'll probably place across land. It covers the spiritual issues, above government technology, and most of the regular geopolitical and other news will be articles posted up over there. NutriMedical will be having more specifically articles dealing with things like wellness, anti-aging, advanced medicine. My blog, which I do now in the Academy of Environmental Medicine articles, I'm working on several articles. One, a new update on Fukushima Daiichi, an article on vaccines, and an article on the whole process of what aging is and disease. And talking about aging and disease, what you have to do is we're trying to train people how to be their own doctor. Dr. You, I call it. You look in the mirror, you're looking at your first doctor. And if you don't have enough training, listen to the program. Get a membership, and we have membership now for people who have access to the wellness conditions. If you're a regular customer, you've already got your member number. If not, purchase it so you have access to the wellness conditions, live stream TV, and consults. We do a basic consult for everybody, 1, 2, 3, get started. But if you want more than that, you'll need to have a membership, and that's important. We're also doing a few other things. We are moving forward with redesigning the Mountain Red Velvet. It's going to have a DR cap, so that'll sometime in the next few months we'll be getting a special DR cap of that. We have just launched our Vascu Care, which matches up with our wonderful products like CoQ10 Supreme, the only CoQ10 that doesn't crystallize in the world for energetics of your heart and vascular system, and CoQ10 Ubiquinol, which is a reserve form of CoQ10. Many diseases basically have their origin in mitochondrial dysfunction, and ultimately, and I was looking at my magazine here on anti-aging. In fact, they talked about the different theories of anti-aging, and one of them was missing, which is I call informatics, signal-to-noise ratio. I mean, there's all kinds of theories about what aging is. I'm preparing a presentation for December to the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine at their annual meeting in Las Vegas, to all their 6,000 plus doctors that come to attend to that meeting, and publishing it in their Academy journals. Because I think that the whole approach is wrong-headed. It's the same way as they approach most health issues. There are some very good things in medicine and some bad things. And whether they're doctors that are locked into a system which is an economic system, or they're just very poor science, it's a lot of things that are promulgated or repeated that are dangerous. In fact, we had a consult on Friday about a gentleman who was taking a calcium channel blocker, and he had cardiac arrhythmias. He's 69, very intelligent man. He was a professor. And the more drugs they gave this poor gentleman, the worse he got. Of course, that makes sense. He'll cause more more magnesium deficiencies. You damage the ion channels that regulate calcium more, which, by the way, if you want to repair your ion channels, you need to take Gamma E+. Who has hypertension, for God's sake, don't take a calcium channel blocker like amlodipine or Calan. So that may be a good starting point. Let's talk about cardiac arrhythmias. There's an explosion of cardiac arrhythmias, and the biggest problem is magnesium deficiency. And we have several forms of magnesium. We have magnesium glycinate malate. Let's talk about that for start, because I tell people unless you're taking really good maximum mega dosages of it, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I really love that's my choice for magnesium supplement. Is the magnesium glycinate. What's nice about it is it's a true amino acid chelated magnesium, meaning it's not going to cause the same gastric upset that other forms of magnesium will do on the stomach, because the body recognizes it, because it's amino acid chelate, and recognizes it like a protein, so you can take higher doses without causing water to be drawn to the bowel. Like, for example, magnesium oxide or magnesium citrate will sometimes draw water to the bowel, causing diarrhea or cramping in the stomach. But the magnesium glycinate doesn't do that, because the form that it's in is the highest quality form of magnesium you can get on the market. So that's the highest recommended form I like.
Yeah, the glycinate malate is the fastest to reach your total body. If you take we're to talk about one thing that prevents you and blocks stress, it's magnesium. It increases your cortisol production by your adrenal glands, your sex hormones. It increases your bioprotection for your brain, heart, liver, solid organs, from everything from radiation to emotional stress, free radicals. Magnesium is the major, what we call life mineral for humans. It's interesting. It's the primary mineral that translates sunlight into energy for plants to be able to make all the different material that's eaten by animals to support all life on Earth. So magnesium is a master mineral. It's the energy mineral. There's 10,000 magnesium ions for every calcium ion inside the cell, and they only get inside the cell if the cell membrane is damaged in the ion channels, which are actually more damaged by things like calcium channel blockers. They're damaged also by taking beta blockers, which can also interfere with the metabolism as well. So you want to be taking gamma E plus to protect your ion channels. So, Clay, tell us about gamma E plus. Why is it so protective, and why is it so important?
Well, gamma E plus is a complete blend of all the different forms of vitamin E that you get in nature. And so a lot of times you'll go to the store and try to get a vitamin E supplement, and what you'll get is actually either DL-alpha tocopherol or D-alpha tocopherol only. And the DL form of alpha tocopherol is actually a man-made synthetic form of vitamin E. So it's cheap. It's a cheap form. It's not body ready. The body doesn't really recognize it the same way as it would a fully blended form of vitamin E, like the gamma E plus that has in it not only D-alpha tocopherol, but also has gamma tocopherol, delta, beta tocopherol, and also has in there tocotrienols, which in their own right have a lot of great research to support their usage as well. So it's the most body-ready form of vitamin E available.
Yeah, and the other thing that we try to restore is vascular metabolism. A lot of people don't realize that your heart is 2/3 dry weight mitochondria, your blood vessel walls, which regulate the secondary pulsatile wave that moves blood away from the heart to the tissues, brings nutrients and oxygen, brings the toxins back and the blood back to the heart, is the venous, venule, and vein pulsatile wave. It's metabolically supported. That's why we mentioned our various forms of carnitine, like VascuCare, and of course CoQ10 Supreme, which is the only non-crystallizing CoQ10 ubiquinol. Tell people if you've got CNS or heart problems, those are essential. The other thing is that most people that have heart disease are hypothyroid or hypometabolic. So when we come back, we'll talk about that, because the average GP, I call them generally pathetic, do not understand how to measure hypometabolic states, which can include typical hypothyroidism with antibodies, thyroid resistance syndrome, which is 20 to 30 times more common, and other hypometabolic states that you need to understand. We'll be back in a minute with Clay.
Quantitative easing, unemployment at depression levels, Europe financial system falling apart, China getting out of...
I like that song. That's a good... we're not out of touch with reality in terms of people's wellness. Now, what's unique about NutriMedical is, number one, and I was reading on my one of my journals that I get here, and this is called the Townsend Newsletter. And they've got an interesting thing they call nutrigenomics and personalized health. And in there they have an article by Yale Shapiro, PhD-RD, and Christy Hughes, and they're talking about new genetic testing. And we'll probably get some of these labs on to talk about this. It's called the genetic profile tests. And they're looking at a number of different genes, for example, lipid metabolism, B vitamins and methylation, detoxification, inflammation, oxidative stress, bone health, insulin sensitivity, and iron overload. And that's good. It sounds like a pretty good battery of tests. This is developed in South Africa, but they've been doing worse with Nordic labs and other labs. What I do is I'll look at any of these functional medicine labs, and we tell people, if you wanted the best thing to get as an adjunct for your wellness is, number one, to get a QRMA machine. Number two, I'll give you recommendations at labs like directlabs.com for Genova Metametrics, doctors' data, and other labs for toxicology and genetics. Then you can send me the data, and I'll integrate it in with your wellness and medical history. This is when we do a formal consult, and it's much more formalized than it was in the past because I got swamped. So we try to give people, a much more, we see significant analysis. The first thing I'll tell people is, number one, you got to get our NutriMed drinks into your life. Ageless, energized, life support. If people want to pick one drink, just one. Say, just pick one. I say life support right off the top. Then ageless or ageless energized. And, of course, for blood sugar control and weight loss, or even if people try to put muscle on, Glycemix. And, of course, the best red greens drink is our NutriComplete. So tell us all about the remarkable different drinks.
Sure. Yeah, I really like the ageless energized especially. What a great, perfect food to have as your first meal of the day. 21 grams of a blend of rice and pea protein. So it's a vegetable-based protein. Because they're combined, the amino acid blend makes it a high biologic value protein. So you'll spare muscle instead of losing muscle, which is the key to a healthy weight loss. You also have in there sulforaphane, glucosinolate, so it's a super green food in there. It's like eating 2 pounds of raw broccoli, organic broccoli per serving of the ageless, energized, and regular ageless drinks. And you also have the organic caffeine from coffee, red coffee bean in there, which really help you get your energy going. So you don't need a cup of coffee. There's really nothing better, I think, you could take in the morning than the ageless, energized, get you going, spare your muscle, just the perfect food so that you can get about your day. What do you think about that? Which one do you like?
Well, I'm too multitasking. When I make my drink, which I just had for my breakfast, and mid-morning I took 4 ounces each of my drink, which is made from Glycemix, chocolate, ageless energize, NutriComplete, life support, and I put in several ounces of the omega cod liver liquid. I put ALC 1000, a large heaping teaspoon of D-ribose. That's in the whole container, which will last probably a couple of days for myself, and I also give it to my daughter with Down syndrome and put in her pills. What I do is act as I call a NutriMedical barista, where I open up her capsules of Cognition Plus, Brain Power, Neurogen to help remyelinate different areas of the brain that are delayed in Down syndrome, bone generator to give her extra crystals for her bones to protect her bones levels of mineralization, leptin metabolic, and a few other things that I put in there, capsules and soft gels, like Her Majesty's Royal Jelly, which is a B5 that's been modified called pentathene. That's a royal jelly that helps to improve fatty acid energetics in your body. And when I open up her capsules and puncture soft gels like those, Lipo Flush, which is another one that I like to use. It's very good for conjugated linoleic acid to improve your fatty acid metabolism and make your fat not angry anymore. In fact, people say, how do you calm your angry fat? Well, take CLA. That's why, for example, if people have beef that has been grass-fed, it has conjugated linoleic acid, It has omega-3 fatty acids, believe it or not, similar to salmon, and it's not pro-inflammatory. If you eat GMO soy oil or trans fat oils, where you take safflower, sunflower, or canola oil and you heat it, and of course canola naturally has racinic acid up to 5%, they're pro-inflammatory, so you don't want to do that. Peanut oil is pro-inflammatory. So you want to stay away from inflammatory fatty acids. Cook with if you're going to cook with coconut oil, and use extra virgin olive oil when you're not cooking, which is monounsaturated fats for salads. So that's my approach, and the drink is awesome. I mean, when you make that up, I put in half volume almond coconut milk called Califia, no sugar at all in it, and my pure water system, water and ice, and sits in the blender in the fridge. And if I want to grab 2 ounces, it takes me 10 seconds to reblend it, 20 seconds, and I'm on to the next part of my show or the interview on another network, if I'm doing an interview. So it's there's nothing like it. I mean, it transforms your health completely.
Yeah, it also takes the guesswork out. Hey, what should I eat, in the morning? Say, take this.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I might have, for example, with it, if I'm not too busy, I might have some gluten-free steel-cut oatmeal with with a little bit of Califia milk. And that's it. Along with a few berries thrown on top, raspberries and blackberries thrown on top of that. And that's a great breakfast. Most mornings I'm so busy, I just grab my drink. And then it also keeps your blood sugar stable all day, so if you do have supper, your appetite's much more controllable. You don't overeat. So it prepares you all day to keep lower blood insulin levels, lower glucagon. I call it the Snicker bar per hour effect, where your body stops making extra sugar in your kidneys and your liver. A lot of people don't realize, why do diabetics have higher blood sugar in the morning after they haven't had anything to eat all night? Because their liver and kidneys are working overtime to make all the sugar they didn't eat while they're asleep. Interesting, hey?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very, very interesting. So,
well, what about
this time of year, by the way,
like the glycemic meal also, though, Doc? Because a lot of people don't know.
Well, that's why I put the glycemic meal. The glycemics is the essential core of my drink, because it's going to lower blood insulin levels, normalize blood sugar, lower stress levels in your body. The glycemics is super important, I tell people, and if you're trying to normalize your energy level during the day, having glycemics as part of your drink is really important. And by the way, every hour of the show is open line, so if you have a health or wellness question, just stay on topic. Call in. It's Wellness this hour. 800-259-5791, anywhere in the world. Here in America, of course, you don't have to pay. It's long-distance 800 number, but it's an active number anywhere on planet Earth. And I'm talking to Jess about getting even the Skype line so people can Skype in from anywhere.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers.
Aging, and one of the things that we often talk about is energetics of the cells. And the first thing is making new mitochondria. I don't think people can downplay just how important having good, healthy mitochondria is. Let's put it this way. If the cell is a prepper, having more mitochondria is like having more generators. So your heart has up to 2 million mitochondria in one large cardiomyocyte in your heart muscle. Your astrocytes can have 500,000 to 1 million mitochondria. That's a brain cell. The Purkinje cells can have tens of millions, which is the largest cell in your body, in your cerebellum. People don't understand just how important mitochondria are, and when you have old mitochondria that aren't functioning, they actually can spin off all kinds of free radicals. It's like having an old engine that's spewing off black smoke and could go on fire, like your car engine, because you have no oil in it, or your so your cylinder heads are creating sparks, and you're going to have an explosion of your engine. Well, that's what happens inside the body. And the first thing we talked about was the trio, which is Nutritrella, Supernox, and Anti-Age Max. Tell us why this trio works to generate new mitochondria and optimize mitochondrial function. And, of course, we go to our special forms of carnitine, IBS care for the bowel, the general mitocarnitine, which is the glycinated propionyl L-carnitine and our new vascular carnitine, which actually they're trying to license as a drug in Europe, VascuCare. And, of course, we have our CoQ10, CoQ10 Supreme, CoQ10 Ubiquinol, and our ALC-1000, acetylcarnitine, and D-ribose. So we can actually generate a lot of energy. But you got to make new mitochondria. Tell us about this triad, why it's so important. If you got a chronic fatigue syndrome, you've got chronic cardiomyopathy like heart failure, you've got chronic myopathy muscles like myofascial pain syndromes, you need to make new mitochondria. Or if you've got dementia, autism in a child where there's mitochondrial dysfunction, new mitochondria really come in handy.
Oh, they sure do. And as you know, when you have some of those conditions that you just spoke of, it's really difficult to get out and exercise, isn't it?
Well, it's not going to happen.
Right, it's not going to happen, exactly.
But you can do it. You can do it in a sense.
One of the ways to increase mitochondrial production and is to stimulate what's called PGC1 alpha. And so exercise does that, calorie restriction does that. Well, if you're feeling sick like that, you're not going to do either of those things. So what you need to take is some nutritional supplements to help support the body's ability to do that without the exercise or the calorie restriction. And one way to do that is to increase nitric oxide. So you take Supernox, that will, the ingredients in there have shown to support the body and its ability to increase nitric oxide. And then you also have...
right, we're not...
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not just L-arginine either. It has a number of other components to make sure it's locking onto the right nitric oxide pathways to make nitric oxide in your artery walls in your brain and elsewhere. Because you can actually get the wrong ones and you actually get what's called INOS, activation producing free radicals. And that's not good. So people need to understand that just taking lots of L-arginine is not equivalent.
No, it actually could be dangerous. There's been studies done by the NIH that they had to stop when you're giving large amounts of arginine that were quick release, because it was damaging the blood vessels and causing heart attacks. So be very careful with arginine. You got to make sure that you have, like the Supernox, a control-release version, the AKG version, which is the preferred form from Germany.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, one of the things that is also a big problem is this allergy season is particularly bad, and there's several reasons. The first is there's more ultraviolet light, which is higher energy, so it takes allergen molecules and charges them more, so they'll stick to your airways. So higher UVB light means more allergenic air. The other is pollution. Radiotoxins in the air from Fukushima Daiichi, especially things like tritium, and other radiotoxins attached to molecules as well as regular pollutants. For diesel fuel, trimellitic anhydrides, formaldehyde from car fuel, and also the effect of toluene diisocyanate, which is outgas from plastics and fast-drying paints. Like even in your car after you've painted it for a number of months, it's still outgas as TDI. Now, what they do is they attach to body proteins, and we were doing our studies back 33 years ago at UCLA with Dr. Chung and Fujidani. We found these attached to human serum albumin and caused antibodies. So we correlated directly with autoimmune brain dysfunction, pancreatic dysfunction, pancreatic cancer, autoimmune diseases, including bowel cancer and adenomatous polyps. So the first thing I tell people to control allergies, number one, is to get your body alkaline, which is Power C Plus and full vitamin K2. And the second is use our Allerblock and Allergon. Let's go over these three because they're a 1-2-3 punch to knock out allergies.
Yeah, the Allerblock, the ingredients in there are the Siberian DHQ or dihydroquercetin. You get that from Russia. It's the highest quality form of dihydroquercetin that you can get. That's the business end of the product, and it works really fast. 2 caps 3 times a day for a week, and then you can kick it down to 1 cap twice a day to really maintain during allergy season. Really love that product. What else is in there is vitamin C, stinging nettle, bromelain, rutin, NAC as well. So really everything you need to help stabilize the mast cell so it doesn't break open, causing histamine response in the body, causing hay fever or runny nose, itchy eyes, things of that nature.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other thing I want to often do is throw in our Allison Med, which is our German-sourced standardized high-potency allicin, and you get 200 milligrams more Allison, then in the Alamed, which is our 20 plus years developed by Peter Jostling in the UK as a pharmacist or chemist, they call him over there. The Allison Med is very good to clear stealth pathogens in the airways like rhinovirus subclass 3, mycobacteria and fungi, and various opportunistic bacteria. They can trigger off sinus or airway inflammation. So a lot of people have what I call pathogen soup growing in their airways that can cause an increase in the inflammation of the turbinates of your middle nasal passages. Usually the middle turbinate and the ostia of the sinuses can get blocked. The maxillary sinus, for example, drains upward out around the opening over the middle turbinate. And if you get rid of these inflammation in the basket cells of your lungs and the bronchi and in your turbinates of your sinuses, and your sinuses are not growing all kinds of garbage, fungi, bacteria, mycobacteria, then you do much better. We also use that along with our nasal sprays like our Silver 100, which, by the way, won't turn you blue because it is an ionic form of atomic silver. I know there's someone else has made a comment, and they got back to us and said, someone is saying on another show that if you take silver, you turn blue. Well, you have to take gallons and gallons of colloidal or nanoparticle silver, which is not this product. We don't carry that and haven't it for many years. And you'd have to take it for a very long period of time and take excessive, crazy dosages. Silver is naturally present in the soil. In fact, it's considered a noble metal that actually helps your body fight infections. And killing the soil, fixing bacteria, has actually dropped the silver content of our food, which is bad, just like selenium content and chromium are bad. Which is why I tell people, if you're not taking our Vitamin Mineral Max and Minerals Plus, you're really putting yourself behind an 8-ball, because if you don't have the minerals in your body, which are transamino-associated minerals, and you don't have the activated forms of vitamins. I just read an article here by one of the doctors, and I won't mention his name, in our Townsend letter, and he made a couple of statements that homocysteine levels you can drop just with normal folic acid, even if you have the genetic polymorphism or SNP. And of course, we have a very educated audience listening in the program. The fact is that's not true. If you actually did, and this is based on real case studies I've done, where we have people with a genetic SNP, they need our superfolate, probably pyromethyl B12, bioLVR, which has activated B6, and they may even need to go up to our real powerful stuff called SAM-ethyl, the SS isomer, highest concentration in the nitrogen sachet with 600 milligrams of trimethylglycine. You can repair methylation, uric acid drops, homocysteine that burns your brain and arteries goes away, and real fast in a couple of days. And welcome back to the NutriMedical Report. One of the interesting things that I want to mention too is some of the interesting side things that happen with myo-inositol. And one of the most important things to reverse diabetes is, believe it or not, inositol. In fact, it's also very good for polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is another hyperinsulinemic syndrome where the high insulin causes the zona pellucida of the ovaries to actually start generating male-like hormones, and to cause a lot of the symptoms we call PCOS. PCOS is an insulin-resistant syndrome. So, Calm Mind, believe it or not, although it calms your mind, it also calms your blood sugar, and it also calms your ovaries for women. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. Very.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of uses for these nutraceuticals. We're constantly finding new uses for this, for stuff like, for example, berberstatin. Berberine not only lowers insulin resistance, it's one of the best ways to clear both the branching and budding forms of yeast out of your gut. So if you've got a chronic leaky gut and food allergies, you got to be on berberstatin. We also recommend Allison Med. And you have to recolonize your gut with Living Probiotic, which is a Roselle 6 strain from Paris, the Pasteur Institute, and the Living Probiotic Ultra, which is the most powerful probiotic on planet Earth. I mean, literally, if you pre-take this a month or two before you go to a place like Haiti, you will not pick up cholera. Pretty hard to believe, but it's true. It knocks out bacterial and viral enteritis, which is the number one cause of death on planet Earth. It's diarrhea will kill you. In fact, if you want to cause, what's the number one killer of young children around the world or adults? It's diarrhea. It's electrolyte imbalances caused by bad water and contaminated food with bacteria that'll kill you. Interesting, hey?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, Living Probiotic Ultra will stop that. So, for example, if you wanted to help a community that was having bad water killing them, you need to get them new water and a good pump to get down and get some good water. But you could start right off the bat just giving them Limerick Probiotic Ultra and electrolyte rehydration solutions, which, by the way, we're going to be launching that shortly. We have a special sport drink that supports your mitochondria, your energy of your cells, and protecting against free radicals. It's Sport Energy with a large G Lights, and that'll be coming out and probably before the next big sale. So that's pretty amazing. Tell us about berberstatin. What makes it so important? Because it's going to reduce insulin resistance and it also clears the bowel of pathogens. We haven't talked about this one for a while.
Well, and then you have zinc, which is a zinc glycinate. You have the Oregon grape 4-to-1 extract, which gives you berberine, bayberry, and grapefruit, all designed to help support the effects of berberine, which is a plant alkaloid. And it really works well in the gastrointestinal tract. It's been used for centuries overseas in this way, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, in terms of controlling blood sugar, we recommend to start off with the diabetoline, and then biotin plus, minerals plus, and vitamin max to normalize your insulin resistance. Leptin metabolic and lipo flush to make your angry fat stop being angry, because it's the cytokines that come from your fat tissue that are the cause of insulin resistance and obesity. And that also causes leptin resistance, so your appetite control is disturbed too. And your metabolism shuts off, so it actually shuts off peripheral T4 to T3 conversion, which is the activated hormone. So basically everything comes from angry fat. So when you start taking particularly leptin metabolic and lipo flush, it'll reverse that. Can you tell us all about that?
Yeah, I really like the NutriTrala, though. That'd be my number one thing I recommend for type 2 diabetes.
Well, for diabetics, yeah. Well, you're trying to reduce the glycation and because in diabetic state, you're right, is an inflammatory state. So tell us why NutriTrala reverses that inflammatory, insulin-resistant glycating state where sugar's being cross-linked and various proteins in the body.
I would, as mechanism of action, I would have you talk. You know it much more better than I do. I just know that the products inside and out, but not necessarily the mechanism of action. So maybe you could tell the listeners about that.
What it does is it actually recycles your fat and water-soluble antioxidants so that it dramatically cuts free radicals. It also will stop or reverse, along with things like our ultrathymine B1 and allothymine, glycation, and our carnosine. We have carnosine as well. And that's why we have the dimethylcarnosine for the eye, but we also have the oral carnosine. NutriTrala is the number one thing for reversing we call C-reactive protein and hemoglobin A1C, which are major markers for diabetes, because it's the cross-linking of proteins that triggers off the inflammatory response. So if you've got a lot of cross-linking occurring, you're going to get an elevated C-reactive protein, or PI1 is a marker of inflammatory effects from fat. We call it the angry fat syndrome. Mm-hmm. So to make it less angry, we use leptin metabolic, which normalizes the fat along with the conjugated linoleic acid and lipo flush. And we lower the insulin resistance with diabetoline, biotin plus, and minerals plus, vitamin max, and perhaps add chromium cruciferate because it'll lower the resistance to insulin. We have to treat obesity and diabetes, I call diobesity, as a metabolic syndrome. So if you don't treat the syndrome, 80% of people's weight is actually directly caused by metabolism. So just lowering calories or even exercising people doesn't work very well. And if you're going to exercise, you want to use vibrational exercise at least 10 to 20 minutes. I recommend 20 minutes at least for someone who's overweight or diabetic on a vibrational platform, no matter what else you do, because it has all these positive effects along with the right nutraceuticals. But, you know, the average doctor won't say, hey, well, you should do meal replacement with glycemics particularly, and ageless energizer, my combination for weight loss and diabetes. And you can throw in life support and the NutriComplete to be very complete. But especially the ageless energize and the glycemics are the ones for diabetes and for weight loss. Because your primary problem is basically your metabolism is being shut off and your body shunting calories into fat, and your angry fat is causing insulin resistance and leptin resistance. So that's very important to understand. It's a metabolic syndrome. So when you look at someone and say, well, they're Why are they fat? Well, they may be eating an identical amount of calories to even their brother or sister that doesn't have the same genetics, but they'll gain weight because if you gain, let's say, half a slice of bread calories per day, in 1 year you've gained 40 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Wow, that is a lot of weight.
And people don't understand that. They think, well, how did someone get fat? They get fat because their body couldn't buffer that excess calories by saying, hey, there's too many calories here, let's just burn it off. So you'll see skinny people, for their life of them, even if you paid them, they can't gain weight. They can try, they can even overeat for a few weeks, and they just get hot and sweaty. And, you know, one of the things I've learned about asking any scientific question, it's not trying to find out why a disease is caused by a specific thing, is why someone doesn't get the disease. For example, why does someone that gets the AIDS virus from, say, Norway, doesn't get AIDS? It's because they have a gene complex that actually prevents the AIDS virus from turning into AIDS-related complex and developing AIDS. They can carry the virus, HTLV virus, and it'll never get AIDS. And it's the same gene complex that apparently allows you to survive the Black Death from the 1347. Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
So those people that had the survivor genes from the Black Death have the same genes that will prevent it from ever turning into active AIDS. Talking about protecting the brain mag. Let's talk about that for a minute, because one of my favorite combinations now is a scoop of brain mag and a scoop of Calm Mind. The 1-2 punch to not only protect your brain, calm you down, stop anxiety, reverse depression. As I say, the Calm Mind's better than booze or marijuana or drugs, your doctor's drugs, like Jack or Celexa. And the brain power is going to calm you down with your brain protective magnesium threonate and magnesium glycinate malate. This combination is amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The Calm Mind, it tastes great. It's easy to take. Just 1-2 scoops a couple times a day. It's not going to put you to sleep. It's just going to relax you, help cut cortisol. In there, you have the magnesium, dimalate, myoinositol, taurine, GABA, and L-theanine. So everything you need to help relax without getting sedated.
We should change the name. We're going to put a tagline below it. Calm Mind, your Zen powder. Zen you out. Thanks, Clay. It was fun. Meeting again now next week. I wanted to talk to you, so stay there for a second. I'm going to talk to you for a second. We have something special going on, and Ryan will be back in just a minute. Coming up in hour number 3, we have Chris Geo is also on this show, founder of the Truth Frequency Radio. He has a show here on Genesis Network also.